Zapdos TCG here, and welcome back to another TCG video on my channel. On this channel you get daily Pokemon TCG content, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming content. We're deeply into the Temporal Forces content. We made a top 10 best cards video, actually it was a top 20 best cards video. We made a little bit of a tier list prediction for EUIC, and now it's actually to check out the top 10 best deck lists in this current format. So we already see that Japan is playing a lot of these tournaments. We did see the Champions League unfold, and we have a little bit of an understanding of what the best decks are post-rotation with Temporal Forces. First of all, also check out our sponsors which make this video possible. There is dragonshield.com. Get 5% off on everything using the coupon ZAPDOS5 over on the website. There's also yourplaymat.com where you can get 10% off by clicking the link down below. They ship worldwide. Your Playmat allows you to create your own custom playmat. Super nice. There's also PokemonStore.com to, of course, get TCG live codes. You can use the coupon ZAPDOSTCG on everything on the website. And cardmarket.com is ideal for European players to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. You can use the referral name ZAPDOSTCG to help support the channel. With that being said, let's start off with the number 10. But before we check out the number 10 deck list, which is already on the screen right here, I want to give an honorable mention to deck lists like Lost on Giratina, which barely didn't cut into the top 10. Also Roaring Moon EX, as well as a Gardevoir EX with Drifloons and stuff, and Miraidon list. So I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to the decks because they haven't performed all that well over in Japan. So we're excluding them from the list. Currently, the top 10 decks can still flip-flop here and there. So let me know in the comments how you feel about the current ranking of these decks. And without further ado, let's just get into this video with number 10 being Great Tusk. Great Tusk is a new mill archetype, of course. Very nice to see a new win condition coming from the game. We already see that Snorlax control is still around, but Great Tusk is an aggressive mill deck, allowing you to discard the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck every single turn if you play an ancient supporter from your hand. With a high amount of Poke Gear and a high amount of Pal Pad, you're going to be able to play supporter after supporter and use the Great Tusk to mill the opponent's deck with a lot of HP buffing tools, like of course the Hero Escape, giving you 100 additional HP as the ace pack in this deck, the Ancient Energy Boost Capsule, as well as the Bravery Charm. Your Great Tusk will have monstrous HP, and if the opponent is not able to one-shot it, it's going to be spelling bad news, because every single time a Great Tusk stays alive, it's going to be milling an additional 4 cards from your opponent's deck. With a high amount of Artisan and of course Ditto in the deck as well, you're going to be able to of course get your army set up ASAP. The Ditto will make sure you start with Great Tusk a little bit easier, and the Pidgeot V also prevents you from decking out because you do go aggressively into your deck with the Guidance. Explorer's Guidance is the new supporter ace pack card, not an ace pack but a supporter allowing you to of course look at the top 6 cards of your deck, select 2 and discard the rest. So if you use that time and time again, you might deck yourself out, and that's where Pidgeot V comes into fruition, to just make sure you don't deck out yourself. So decking your opponent out, milling them is the strategy, with Great Tusk being at the number 10 spot. Number 9 is Future Box, aka Iron Hands. Iron Hands is actually getting a huge buff with the addition of the Temporal Forces set coming out on the 22nd of March, and this is still an unexplored deck. You might try out more variance in the deck like this with some cards like Iron Leaves EX, etc. But I think this list does do miracles because MP very much is just that strong. And you also force the 7 prize game for the opponent because you lead off with the Miraidon, which is able to slap a little bit of damage, and allows you to of course slap 30 damage and set yourself up. Search your deck for an energy card for your Pokemon, just setting them up easily. And of course with Iron Crown, you're slapping 20 additional damage for every Iron Crown EX you have in play, meaning Miraidon can knock out stuff like Charmander, Frigibax, Pidgey, Comfey, you name it. Very nice, while you set up Iron Hands. With of course the new tool card allowing you to of course absorb some energies if you get knocked out. You're going to be able to go Iron Hands back to back to back, and that's going to be pretty much the game. Also with that Ace Pack card, you're able to accelerate an energy for every future Pokemon on the field. You're going to be able to accelerate 1 energy. So this in combination with Electric Generator allows you to of course set up Iron Hands very easily, and that's going to be very painful because Iron Hands in the addition of Iron Crown, let's say you're having 3 Iron Crowns up in play, that's a buff with 60 additional damage output, and with the Future Energy Boost Capsule also on top of that, you're going to be able to slap ridiculous amounts of damage with MP very much. So very interesting deck for sure. We do see it still relies on Arven, and of course the finding the ace pack ASAP is going to be the best way to go around this. So interesting deck. You also have Gift Energy to be able to draw yourself out of nasty situations. So and Techno Raider gets of course all the future Pokemon out instantly. So definitely something I still need to try out, but it's on here on the number 9 spot. Number 8, Ancient Box. The one price Ancient Box is actually a pretty interesting deck. You have Roaring Moon, slapping 70 damage, plus 10 more for every Ancient card in your discard pile. This actually counts everything with Ancient on it, including Professor Sala's Vitality, Earthen Vessel, Explorer's Guidance, the Drum Ace Pack card, there's also the Ancient Energy Boost Capsule and your Pokemon as well. So lots and lots of Ancient cards in here, and as soon as you get like a lot of cards in the discard pile, your damage output becomes ridiculous. You're gonna be able to KO V-Stars, which is insane, and with the help of something like a Flutter Mane, you can slow down specific archetypes, for instance Lost Box archetypes. Put that Flutter Mane in the active position, and out of nowhere the opponent's active has no abilities, and without escape rope in the format, that's actually ridiculously good. You slow the opponent down while you set up. Flutter Mane could also have its uses to shut down stuff like Chien-Pao, so they cannot use Chivalry Chill. So interesting for sure. Also, you're going to be able to slap with the Koraidon, slapping 30 damage for every Ancient Pokemon on your side of the field, allowing you to max out at 180 on the very first turn, going second with something like a Professor Sala's Vitality. So very interesting deck. You might wonder why there's also a one-off Great Tusk in here. This Great Tusk will allow you to proactively mill specific cards. Let's say, oh, the opponent only has about 8 cards left in their deck. You can just have that as an additional win condition, because this deck also comes with a Super Rod, and that could be a way you can win games you usually wouldn't win. So there's that. I think this is a deck that still needs a little bit of more deck building to see how the meta shapes around. It is still an interesting tier 2 deck. I have tested it before, and it is strong, and it gets attacks off very easily, and does come packed with some options. Koraidon slapping 180, and the Roaring Moon slapping more damage for every Ancient card in your discard pile. And the cool thing about this deck is that all of your Pokemon have a monstrous HP for a basic Pokemon, so they have 140, which is actually pretty good. Something like Cramorant from Lost Box, it will not be able to affect you all that much. Moving forward, we're going to be talking about Lost Box at the number 7 spot here. Lost Box did lose Escape Rope, but there is of course the Iron Bundle as a little bit of a replacement. There is still a V Pokemon in here to come together with the Forest Sealstone, so Raikou is still in this deck. A very good choice, because if the bench is filled up, it maxes out at 220 and also hits Lugia for weakness, which actually is a pretty nice thing to have. There are a couple of vacuums in here. There are still a lot of Comphase and Colorless Experiment, so you can get a lot of cards in the Lost Zone, and with of course the emergency board, you're going to be able to have a free retreat on your Comphase if you're able to equip that tool card, and it stays in play, which is super nice. Sometimes you can vacuum it away for some additional outs to get a lot of cards in the Lost Zone. You can still use Mirage Gate on something like Greninja to slap 90-90. You can use Mirage Gate onto a Roaring Moon to go for Frenzied Gouging, or even better on an Iron Hands to be taking 2 prize cards. So Lost Box not dead quite yet, and does gain the new emergency board. Also Prime Catcher is a nice way to have some more gust into a deck like this. And the cool thing also with the Prime Catcher is that you switch out as well, meaning you can get an additional flower selecting off, and also with the help of the Buddy Puffin, you're going to be able to get your that low HP Pokemon out instantly. So most of the time, the Buddy Puffins will turn itself into 2 copies of Comphase, which is super nice. And this deck is very suitable to just take on about almost anything in the format. But it's only on the number 7 spot. In Japan, it's getting a little bit less popular. Decks like Arceus and Lugia are back in the format, which are a little bit more tougher matchups if you could not get like to 7 cards in the Lost Zone ASAP. With that being said, let's head over to the 6th place here. Gholdengo on the 6th spot here. Gholdengo has proven itself worthy in a format without Path to the Peak. You can just use coin bonus to draw cards, concealed cards to draw cards. If you're having a little bit of a slower setup, you can of course rely onto Squawkabilly EX in this deck as well to be able to set yourself up. In this deck, we do have the new Deciphering supporter. So we have of course that new supporter allowing you to put 2 cards on top of the deck, and then you can draw them out with coin bonus or concealed cards as well. So the yeah, the deciphering is actually pretty cool. That's future supporter, by the way. There's also the capability of using Silene. The Silene is more in particular used to get back Prime Catcher. But yeah, Prime Catcher with the combination of course, yeah, the power of Greninja and stuff is very powerful. I personally would cut a card. Personally, I would go for like Turo, even though Turo could undo some damage. The Turo I would cut for personally something like a Canceling Cologne in here, which helps out this deck tremendously to, of course, when Manaphy is in play, to take those 2 prize cards with the Greninja. A very solid deck. You don't need that many supporters anymore, seeing as Path to the Peak has rotated, and yeah, you just do a lot of stuff with this deck. Just draw cards, draw cards, draw cards, and just slap around with the Make It Rain of the Gholdengo, and Palkia can also set itself up, or just you can attack with it or attack with Greninja, so you have multiple attacking options right here. So interesting deck, and I wonder how it will be performing over at EUIC. Then, number 5, Snorlax Stall. I'm afraid to tell you guys, but Snorlax Stall is still around. Snorlax Stall did ditch the, of course, the Crabominable V, which rotated, but now we have the Chi-Yu, was already used in specific control archetypes of the Snorlax to aggressively mill some cards. The cool thing is now you have the Hero Escape, giving you 100 additional HP, helping out a Chi-Yu against specific archetypes to mill, penny, mill. You see where this could go wrong, right? So you still rely on the Rotom with, of course, the Insta Charge to draw cards. You still have Mimikyu to be annoying against specific archetypes, and of course Snorlax getting more HP through the means of Bravery Charm or the Defiance Vest is super nice to survive some attacks. Echoing Horn has rotated, which is actually pretty bad. You might think about adding in Mantine in this deck as a replacement, but this list just goes for Eerie. Eerie will discard a lot of switch outs from the opponent's hand, whether it's a regular switch or you're going to be able to discard Palpat, so the opponent is not able to reuse stuff like the Turo. It's going to be a nice way for sure. And Eerie can also discard like Pokegears or things that make the opponent brick, which is actually super ridiculous. Eerie could discard something like Rare Candy, so the opponent is not able to play the game if they're relying on a stage 2 deck. So Eerie, a new best friend for Snorlax. We do lose Echoing Horn, but it's a nice replacement. Definitely on top, you have Misfortune Sisters to discard cards from the deck, and you have Eerie to discard cards from the opponent's hand. And with, of course, Temple of Sinnoh protecting yourself against annoying energy cards like Jet Energy, for example, this Snorlax block is still going to be a menace in the format that does need your respect, otherwise they run away with games rather easily. Then, number 4, Arctina. Arctina has developed throughout its lifespan. Arc is still around with the Brilliant Star set, and instead of relying on Judge with something like a Path to the Peak, this actually will now use the TM Devolution, making specific archetypes crumble because they rely on Rare Candy. Think about Chien-Pao or Charizard EX, very dominant decks in the format right now, so the 2 copies of TM Devolution in combination with Judge does seem pretty nice. You also have Eerie, so you have Eerie, you sometimes can discard a couple of Rare Candies early on, and then if you use Judge with a Technical Machine Devolution, you're gonna be in a great position to win and run away with games. So Arc is still very consistent with Starbirth, getting out any 2 cards from the deck, and there's also a copy of Radiant Gardevoir in here for some additional bulk, so you do survive hits from, example, something like a Tempest Dive from a Lugia, for example. You are a little bit more tanky with the help of Radiant Gardevoir, and that could also not get shut down because Path is not in the format. You also have Iron Leaves EX, giving some more ways to beat Charizard EX in a deck like this. As soon as you go for Trinity Nova, you can get some grass energies on your field, and then with Iron Leaves swooping in, it'll be able to KO and one-shot a Charizard EX. You might think, why is there a Lumineon in here? Sometimes Lumineon Iono can save games, and with a high amount of Ultra Ball in here, that's actually nice. It's going to be for games where you're not able to set up a Bibarel in time, then you can just use Lumineon, or just for initial setup, or maybe Bibarel doesn't find what it needs, maybe Bibarel finds Ultra Ball, well then Lumineon can come into play to find that supporter you want, whether it's an Eerie, Boss Zordis for game, or just some more disruption. So very solid for sure, Arctina, and is now on the number 4th spot in this post-rotation metagame. And then 3rd place goes to Lugia VSTAR. This is the winning list from the Champions League. Very cool to see. Lugia now relying on the one price Cinccino, slapping 70 damage for every special energy attached to that Cinccino, and that's going to be very ridiculous damage output. Slapping 350 damage in one single turn with Cinccino is not unheard of. With the help of 2 Primal Turbos, your main objective is clear. You discard 2 Archeops and then you go for Summoning Star the following turn, and you can freely accelerate energies from the deck. Special energies, that is. There's a lot of great special energies around. You have Jet Energy, Gift Energy. The new Mist Energy allows you to protect yourself from attacks that one-shot, for example, Frenzied Gouging or Star Requiem. There's still Therapeutic Energy for the Snorlax from Lost Origin, and also V-Guard to protect yourself from one-shot. So I think this deck has a lot of great things going for it. You can turn yourself into a one-price deck rather easily. Just go for Lugia VSTAR, go for Summoning Star, and out of nowhere you can collapse away your 2-pricer and you turn yourself into a one-price deck, having your board set up with Cinccino, Snorlax, and Archeops. Very strong for sure. The ace-spec card of choice in this deck is Master Ball for some additional consistency. I wouldn't mind if you flip that for something like a Prime Catcher or maybe even a Maximum Belt. Just try it out as you please, but they opted to go for more consistency. No more Professor Burnett in this list. Instead, you rely on something like Jacques. Jacques is going to be able to, of course, get yourself 2 evolutions in hand, and if you have an Ultra Ball, that could be an easy way to discard 2 Archeops. So, interesting list for sure. I wonder how Lugia will develop continuing on, and I'm a big fan of adding in something like a Squawkabilly in this list. So try it out for yourself. Lugia on the 3rd spot. Second place for the top 10 decks in this format, I would put Chien-Pao. Chien-Pao EX. With the help of all these incredible cards, you have Bibarel for Draw Engine, you have Kyogre for 180 Snipe to knock out something like Mew EX, Squawkabilly, Luminion, you name it, Prime Catcher and Cologne, fantastic combo. You also have Counter Catcher on top of that, and there are a couple of Pokegears to really find your Irida when need be. There's only 2 Pokestop in here. You might think, oh, why aren't there more Pokestop in here? I think you don't need more Pokestop in the sense because of the fact that, Path to the Peak has rotated, so bumping a stadium is less important, and with Pokegear finding Irida is going to be the key card in most situations. I wouldn't mind if you cut like 1 Pokegear for an additional Pokestop. I wouldn't mind that at all, but this is a very solid list to get yourself started with Chien-Pao and friends. I think it's a solid deck and of course deserves your respect because you can one-shot anything in the format with the Hail Blade of Chien-Pao, and you can also take 2 prize cards with the MP very much. You can easily go 2-2-2 with a deck like this. Moving forward, the best deck in format, personally, is Charizard Bibarel. You might think, why not Pidgeot EX? You can also go for a Pidgeot EX if you want to, but in Japan, the Bibarel list has dominated City Leagues time and time again, so we're going with this list. You can, of course, use TM Evolution to get yourself 2 Charmeleons evolved instantly. So the Charmanders go into Charmeleon by turn 1, going second with the TM Evolution. You have the Arven package to go a little bit wide, finding your Buddy Puffins. And if you're able to set up a Bibarel, you're safe for protection against something like Ionos. And with the help of the Vitality Band, when the opponent has taken 1 prize card, you can definitely respond with a 220 response with the Charizard EX. As soon as you get that out, you can, of course, with the Infernal Rain, set yourself up, get the energies, and you have a late game sweeper in the form of the Radiant Charizard. Prime Catcher as your target as well, targeting down anything you want. And with the Deciphering supporter there, you're going to be able to put some cards on top, whether it's like Candy and Prime Catcher. It all doesn't matter. It's a very strong card because you're drawing back with Bibarel. So solid list. Try it out for yourself. Charizard, the most popular and the most expected deck post-rotation for EUIC and the Temporal Forces format. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about the top 10 decks heading into this post-rotation format with EUIC, with Temporal Forces. Which decks are you going to be testing out the most? And I wonder how you would rank them all together. Did I forget a deck? Is there going to be a sleeping deck that I didn't mention here? Let me know as well in the comment section below. Helps out a ton. And without further ado, this was the end of the video. Go check out our sponsors, of course. If you're looking for Dragon Shield product, use ZapBlues5, the coupon code. You're going to be able to get 5% off on everything from the Dragon Shield products. Whether you're looking for sleeves, banners, and deck boxes, they have it. EuroPlaymat.com gets you covered if you want to create your own custom playmat. Get 10% off today by clicking that link down below, and they ship worldwide. There's also PoTownStore.com to, of course, get TCG Live code cards. You can get 5% off using the coupon ZapBluesTCG. And last but not least, CardMarket.com for European players. You can use the referral name ZapBluesTCG over at the platform to help support the channel. So thank you all for watching today's upload. If you enjoyed it, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for some Pokemon TCG madness as usual. Thanks for watching. Peace.